What did your dad say when you told him that you were dating someone that was the owner of the Rising Cock Hostel?
You know what he said. Do you just want me to repeat it on the podcast?
Yeah. It's funny to look back now on that period that you're saying is we thought we had it figured out.
Oh my gosh, we had nothing figured out. We still don't have it figured
We
out.
still don't know what we're
We
doing.
still don't know what we're doing.
I like to kind of go at my own pace, and I don't really like having to be somewhere at a certain time. If it's sometimes it's okay, but consistently having to like clock in at this time, clock out at that time, I can't live that way. I convinced you to stay an extra night because you had work, and I was like, oh no, stay an extra night, and I'll drive you instead of taking the bus. And I was driving you back to Sevilla, and the car broke down by Faro. But that's really when I was able to swindle you into
Hello and welcome back to the Why Are You Here podcast. I have a very special guest today who can definitely answer the question of why are you here and has been helping me answer that question for the last 15 years. And he is my husband. He is the father of our 3 children. He is also my business partner in our restaurant group, Ameza, where we own 5 restaurants with 4 different concepts, as well as the owner of our Airbnbs. So, ready or not, here's the original expat, Selmo Ribeiro.
Well, thank you for having me.
I'm so happy that you agreed to do it. I couldn't have thought of a better person to be my first interviewee for the Why Are You Here podcast. So I would like to start with the question.
Can I start in saying congratulations on another adventure of yours? And thank you for having me on.
That's very nice. So I am really excited because you are the original expat, at least in my eyes. You have been here for 22 years.
Correct. Yeah. I moved here after graduating college.
Right. So can you tell everyone a little bit about where you're from? I mean, I can do it, but it's more fun if you do it. So tell everyone a little bit about where you were born, where you came from, and all of that background.
Well, yeah, I guess make it quick. I was born in the States, moved out here 22 years ago. I've been here since I was born in Massachusetts, a place called Springfield, raised in Chicopee, Portuguese community. And then, like I said, I moved here after college and, I've loved it every minute since.
Well, I want to go into a little bit about where you were born and raised because I think it's unique. You already know, and as many people know, I'm from the suburbs of Philadelphia. And you remember what it was like the first time that you took me home back to where you're from, Chicopee, Massachusetts. Shout out to everyone from Chicopee.
What?
And what that was like because you were raised in a very Portuguese community, basically all Portuguese people, but in America, which is kind of cool. So what was it like growing up there? Was everything truly always Portuguese?
Yes. Yeah.
Butchers, Tadus, supermarkets. I want the rundown.
Yeah, everything was, super Portuguese, raised Portuguese. My parents immigrated there, obviously, first generation American. But yeah, was raised Portuguese. All my friends were Portuguese growing up. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. Looking back now, it was definitely probably a different place to grow up to where you grew up. And obviously you've seen that. But, it was really cool. Looking back, it was what we knew and obviously all Portuguese culture, Portuguese school after American school. And
it was your first language as well. You spoke Portuguese at home before you went to school, right?
Yeah.
So you only learned English when you went to school. So you were born and raised in the States, but actually you only spoke Portuguese. Your mom, your dad have told me you only spoke Portuguese till you were 5. So when you went to school in America, you didn't speak any English. That's crazy. If you think about that, that's also, you think about people here in Portugal that come from England. I say England primarily where we see a lot of the kids, but English or German, they only speak English at home. Then they come to school in Portugal and they go to school when they're 5 or 6 and don't know a word of Portuguese. Same thing.
Definitely. Kind of like our kids. They definitely spoke English first, but now they go to all Portuguese school.
Right.
So it's kind of like the same thing, but in reverse. For us, it was really normal. And then, we had also like American friends, which we thought were not normal. It was funny, but it was all good, obviously.
You and your friends, whenever I talk to you guys, always say you were like a Portuguese mafia. You guys always hung out together. You were the Portuguese mafia kids. hung out together, hung out in school together, hung out after school together, families always together, spoke Portuguese. You know, you were bringing bacalhau com natas to school for lunch in
Definitely.
Tupperwares, and the
100%.
American kids had turkey sandwiches and potato chips like I did and apples.
Yeah.
And so that must have been interesting. You were like that, what's that movie where the
My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
yes, My Big Fat Greek Wedding where they bring the
Moussaka.
moussaka. That's right,
And then other
moussaka.
Moussaka. You know, it was really awesome and a lot of stories, a lot of awesome memories from Chicopee and the Portuguese club there, and it definitely makes up a big part of who I am today. Growing up there and being able to bring some of that here to Portugal is obviously it put us on the map here.
That's cool. You spent summers, sometimes in the summer, you would go to your grandparents, right?
Yeah.
So your family is originally from Alcobaça and your dad's family from Óbidos
hmm
here in Portugal. And you would come over in the summers and spend summers with your grandparents, right? And what was that like? I mean, coming from America and then coming to Portugal back in the summer.
Oh yeah, I mean, for a kid spending the summers on the farm and helping out, and getting up to like all this crazy stuff was a lot of fun, and obviously going to the beach as well, like Nazaré and like Boleal on the weekends was so cool, and it definitely made me really, really, really want to live here, I guess, if you could say, because I really identify myself with Portugal and Portuguese culture. Even though I was born and raised in the States, I really fell in love with like the pace of life and how laid back it was. And then I got to spend a lot of time with my cousins who are just kind of like a little bit older than me, Katerina and Paula, and used to take me out at night, drinking and all that cool stuff. So they also, I have to give a shout out to them for making me really enjoy being here.
So you say like you really identify with Portugal and Portuguese culture and stuff. So do you think that you identify a lot with Portuguese culture, or you did, even though you were born and raised in the States and grew up in the States till you were 23? You only moved here when you were 23. So do you think that's because of the summers you spend here, or do you think it's because of like that Portuguese American culture?
I think I'd have to say that at least in terms of Portugal, I identify more with Portugal, and that's just me. I know that it's can be, kind of a difficult place to live at times because of the pace and it takes forever to get anything done. But for me and just the way I like to live my life, it was just like a perfect spot for me. and
But do you think that came from your summers here? Because I've met a lot of your friends from Massachusetts, and some of them don't even speak Portuguese. Like I speak more Portuguese than they do. And so I'm just curious, do you think it's because your parents also instilled that you had to be kind of Portuguese at home? Or do you think it was because you spent your summers here in Portugal?
I think my parents were very like pro Portuguese and they wanted us to speak at home. They wanted us to go to Portuguese school. They wanted us to dance the Hainshu. They had the culture at home, the wine, the pig.
The music.
Yeah. So I had a lot of friends who weren't raised speaking Portuguese.
Yeah, I know. I want to
Yeah.
hear about that. So like
So
some
I
of your
agree.
friends don't.
I agree with what you're saying. I think they were really pro Portuguese and us visiting in the summers, us learning Portuguese culture, us learning Portuguese language. I think that was a big, big part, having Portugal as an option to move here and to live here. And so for them, I think that was super cool that they did that when a lot of the Portuguese parents wanted their kids to be like really American. So
They wanted their kids to integrate.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they didn't want them to learn Portuguese. They didn't want to, all that stuff. So, and it's cool. It's their choice as well.
Well, that was also very typical of that time for first generation Americans, I think.
Yeah.
So you went to university, college in the States, in Boston, Northeastern University. Then you left and moved to Portugal and you were 23. So like when you got here, you came to Lagos, obviously, and you opened your first business, if I'm not mistaken, which is still up and running, crushing it. And that is the Rising Cock Hostel.
Drum roll.
Rising Cock Hostel.
The Rising Cock Hostel, yeah. The cock is still crushing it.
Yeah.
It's 22 years old.
2004 it opened.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It was on the agenda. I had something else set up already. I was supposed to work at the U.S. consulate, do an internship there in Lisbon. Yeah.
Mm.
So Portugal's on my map already. I went to school for politics, so I really wanted to work at the embassy.
Because because you're the least, but I love you, but you're like the least political person I've ever met. You have so
But
many strengths.
master of none.
You're a master of a lot of things, but politics, I've never, I mean, maybe. Hey, it's never too late.
Never too late.
Can't count you out. City Hall, here we come.
So I had something set up there at the embassy, and so the idea was that I was going to kind of do the embassy during the week and then be down here on the weekends to kind of open up this hostel, which was initially a 3-bedroom apartment. But then when I got here, I ended up coming to Lagos first and kind of started getting the apartment going and going to the beach and all that stuff. And then I ended up
But,
scrapping the internship for the cock.
which is funny because also at that time, you're 23 and you graduate college and you move to Portugal. It's interesting because opening a party hostel in Lagos, Portugal, and going to the beach every day sounds a lot more fun. And so, with that in mind, you kind of just became an entrepreneur overnight. But you were kind of always into entrepreneurship, weren't you?
Yeah, going back to what we were speaking about before, my grandfather with the farm and everything, he was doing a little bit of everything. You know, he had the farm, he had taxis going at the same time, and he had some other stuff going. And also on top of that, my mom worked for herself, and she cleaning houses, offices, et cetera, et cetera. And we would go and help her, me and my brother, and my dad, and I kind of always looked up to working for yourself. And another example is, even though a lot of Portuguese people in our community worked at, mostly factory workers, there were a few Portuguese people there that had, 2-family homes they were renting, or
They would have like their own homes and their own rentals.
yeah, they'd have
basically
their
on
own
the
like
side, yeah.
properties. They'd be like landlords, and I'd always look at those guys and think, oh, they work for themselves. I definitely what I want to do when I grow up for
Yeah.
sure. And also, I kind of like to, as you already know, I like to kind of go at my own pace. And I don't really like having to be somewhere at a certain time. If it's sometimes it's okay, but consistently having to clock in at this time, clock out at that time, I can't live that way.
You also like to do what you like to do when you want to do it. I think you are somebody that is very good at watching other people do something well and then learning how to make that same success for yourself, but like in your own way. So, entrepreneurship, the Rising Cock Hostel, crushing it. You guys crushed it really quickly, and that was a lot at 23. So when did you, because that was in 2004 that you opened the hostel. So you opened Nana Lagos in 2005. How did that happen?
Well, yeah, Nanaba just kind of it was like almost like an offshoot of what I was doing in the hostel, which was like cooking family style dinners.
Mm.
Just like barbecue, stuff like that for anywhere between like 5 and 15 guests that we had at the time. And again, that goes back to, again, my childhood. My parents, especially my mom, did a lot of cooking at home, and I remember some of my best memories are from being around the table, being outside with, for barbecues. So to make a little extra money at the hostel, we started doing that. Well, I started cooking these kind of family style dinners.
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards, like the Nanabas physical space was across the street from the hostel, and they were looking to get out of their lease. I was like, oh, yeah. I mean, I know how to cook. So let me just take over this lease and open this restaurant, which was obviously like a hard lesson to learn. And I mean, it wasn't perfect, obviously, at the beginning, and it's still not perfect, as you know. But, you kind of learn as you go. And
Well, so because your mom's always said as well that you've always loved to cook. You were always interested in cooking, even when you were a little kid. You were always helping and doing stuff around the table and cooking. So, and also I think you said for as long as we've known each other, your passion is always cooking and hospitality. Having people feel comfortable around a table, putting things on the table for them, making sure they have a drink, making sure everybody's happy. You are good at that. And that's also I feel like that's your passion. Your passion is like getting everyone around a table and cooking a meal from them. So you opened Nanaba. There were 4 dishes, if I'm not mistaken, in the original menu, right? On the inside. And a couple drinks. And you started going, right? spent a lot of time at Nanaba. I came to Lagos in 2009, actually, as a student studying abroad in Sevilla with 6 friends. 8 at Nanaba. Did not know you. I have that photo. And you had sofas. You had sofas all in the entrance there. And we all had cocktails and burgers, and it was awesome. And then we went back to Sevilla, and I went back to America and continued my life until I graduated university. You were in the kitchen at the time. We never met each other. And then we fast forward to 2011, and we met through Karina, through our mutual friend. And I think that's funny because we had a lot of mutual, well, we didn't know we had a lot of mutual friends, but we had a lot of mutual friends. I was living in Sevilla, was teaching, and you were here running an Autobot and the hostel. And then we met through Karina. And that was the start of the last 15 years.
Yeah, that was probably the best thing that came out of the Northeastern co-op program. I used to not get, I guess, host Northeastern international co-op students at the hostel that were interested in like small business management, entrepreneurship. And luckily, Karina was one of those interns, and you guys ended up being roommates, which was the best thing that came out of the co-op program.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Karina, thank you so much. Oh, you so much.
I've also said on my solo episode as well that Lagos has changed a lot. Lagos, Portugal, since I've gotten here in 2011 has changed a lot. You've been here since 2004. So you're the OG expat, kind of. I mean, you are Portuguese, but you're the OG expat in the sense that you were raised in the States and then moved here. So what do you think has changed the most in Lagos in your time over the last 2 decades?
I agree that Lagos has definitely gotten bigger, and it has changed in a lot of ways. But it's one thing that, because we've been in the industry so long, is that you always hear people mention, how beautiful it is. It's a place they always come back to. It seems to be Lagos is a place that people come visit, and then they'll either come back the year after, or 10 years later, or 20 years later. And there's a lot of places like that doesn't happen. So I think the essence of Lagos is still intact, where it feels like it's almost the end of the world. I mean, it's the last train stop in the in the Portuguese train system. And I think you had a lot of people who are still here today because it was the last train stop, and I think that makes Lagos really special. But I would still say that the Lagos that I came to in 2004, I still think is still here, even though, now there's like fancy hotels and there's a lot of things changing. And even though the nightlife is not what it used to be, but I just think that's part of it. I think in general, people have changed. I know when I first got here, there was a certain group of expats that had the bars, that had certain things, and they've gotten older. I've gotten older. And I think you mentioned this the other day when we were having coffee that, our businesses change with us. And Lagos changing, it's not something that you can like really stop. It's, Portugal is really hot. People love it. Americans and Canadians love it. And these are things that happen.
Yeah, I think change is inevitable no matter where you are. But I do think Lagos has changed. I agree with you. The essence hasn't changed in the sense of it still feels kind of like you went back in time sometimes when you come here in a good way, but it's just gotten like a little fancier, I would say.
More expensive.
Way more expensive and fancier. And actually on that topic, do you think that in 2005, when the restaurant owners across the street from the hostel came over to you and said, "Hey, we're moving back to Brazil. Do you want to take over this lease and run this restaurant?" And you were like, "Yeah, totally. Why not? I can open a restaurant by myself tomorrow with no experience and no business plan." Like I still think that's amazing. Do you think that you could still do that today? But do you think someone could arrive here and do the same thing now?
Yeah, but it would cost a lot more money. There was like a margin for error back then, where let's say we did open the restaurant and it hadn't gone well. We weren't tied into any like really expensive leases with all like expensive equipment and all that stuff. So in that way, we got really lucky by, at that time rent was really cheap. We got really lucky, and the restaurant came with a lot of stuff already that was really old and not really working that well in terms of like equipment, but we got by. But I guess they call it like the barrier to entry or entrance to something like that.
Barrier of entry?
to, if you're going to open up a spot in New York City, it's nearly impossible because you need to have a lot of capital. And I think now it's not comparing to New York, but now it is much more expensive to find a space here in Lagos. Now the rents have like tripled or quadrupled since, when I opened my spot. So it is much more difficult. Can you do it? Yeah, obviously, because everyone, you see it happen. You obviously know, you're in the industry with me, and the places open and close all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it wasn't like a massive cost to open Nanaba, we did have to invest a lot of time. Not time, like, how many, Nanaba's 21 years.
Yeah. Effort, time, energy.
And I think that is like a huge thing that entrepreneurs in general miss, is that it's not going to be perfect from day one. And you've really got to work the concept, whatever it is, for it to be successful.
Okay, so I want to go back on timeline. So we met in 2011 and I moved here in the summer. And then you ended up saying, hey, come, help me. The hostel, help me with Nanaba. And then we kind of just jumped into working together from there. So I'm curious, what was that like for you to introduce me, someone completely new, into your life in Portugal? Because you already had a life here in Portugal. You were here for 7 years before I got here.
Well, I was really worried that you were going to like turn your back and run because it was like such a shit show. It was, true. Things were really different back then, and it's still not easy today, but things were like absolutely nuts back then. With hostel,
it was the wild west,
and Nanaba, and to subject you to that.
That's not true. It wasn't that bad.
Well, I wanted to try to keep it hidden until we were married, but I showed you everything right away from the beginning, and you didn't run.
I don't run from a challenge.
No, but what you brought to the company was absolutely amazing, and I know it wasn't easy to like try, and I know you fired everyone, but
that's only half true.
No, but there were changes that had to be made, and just like Lagos, the essence. I know that even though we have made a lot of changes at the company, I think the essence of the people component of it, and I actually do think that a lot of stuff that you do, including this podcast, is also very like people driven, connection, wanting to know other people's stories, sharing your story, and I think in all of the the spaces we have, the Airbnbs, the restaurants, is like very like connection focused, and I love that about you.
Oh, I actually think we have that in common. I think we've always had that in common. We always have been interested, both of us, in connecting with people in general. And I think that's also maybe a big reason why we are still here for so long, because in Lagos, you can connect with people from everywhere all the time.
I've always thought that at the end of the day, it being so people coming through from all over and so much different stuff going on, and where Lagos is located, you don't get that outside influence of like what's going on all the time, and here you're almost like the last to hear of a lot of the news. And I think that also contributes to focusing on people, focusing on your surroundings, being able to kind of just
be present
in
life.
That's a good word.
I agree.
Being present, even though we have like a million things going on,
never stopping.
It never stops.
We worked together obviously in 2011, 2012. The end of 2012 or 2013, we moved to New York together. That was exciting.
That was awesome.
I think that changed things for both of us in a big way. First of all, it was like my dream to live in New York. And I know I told you I have to go to New York. I need to move. I honestly didn't expect you to come because I know you had nanas in the hostel and you had like a whole life here. But when I told you I was going, do you remember what you said?
I'm going to go with you.
Yeah.
That was probably the point that you were turning your back and running.
But I was like, going to follow this dream. I was 25.
This place
I wanted
is a shit show. I got to get out of here as fast as possible.
No, I just.
And your parents were probably really happy.
They were thrilled. Yeah. I mean, we all know that.
You need to get away from this guy immediately.
I don't think it has anything to do with getting away.
And the cock. You need to run. Oh, hold on.
That's true. That's true.
Well, hold on.
That's for sure true. I mean, what father isn't like, hey, I hope my daughter stays at the Rising Cock?
Let me
Like,
ask you
nobody.
a question. What happened?
Would you be okay with that if Maya Amelia did that?
What happened? Oh, no. Now it's my turn to ask the questions.
Hey.
The floor is mine. What did your dad say when you told him that you were dating someone that was the owner of the Rising Cock Hostel?
You know what he said. Do you just want me to repeat it on the podcast?
Yeah.
My dad said that he was disappointed in me and he was not happy with me because my parents had never been here to Portugal. They had come to visit me in Sevilla, obviously, many times. They'd never been here to Portugal. They had no idea what a hostel. I mean, they knew what I don't even know. I actually don't even know if they knew what a hostel was.
Before the Cock,
I highly doubt it.
I didn't even know what a hostel was.
I don't think they even knew what a hostel was. I moved to Portugal without telling them. I had a boyfriend they never knew about. I said I was no longer going to do my master's in Barcelona. And then I showed up and told them that I'm living in Lagos, Portugal with the owner of the Rising Cock Hostel. And how would you feel as a dad if I told you all of that without knowing any of that information? And then my dad said, obviously, he was disappointed in me that I was dating the owner of what he called, I have to say it, a den of male gratification. So, ouch. Which, by the way, for the record, also the Rising Cock, that is not what it is.
It's not what it is.
That's not what it is.
Mama serving up the crepes is not a den of male.
No, that is not what it is. But
it's a family business.
From his point of view, sure. From his point of view, from his point of view as a father of your only daughter who's telling you all of that, I mean, if Maya and Amelia did that, how would you feel?
Well, yeah, I wouldn't be happy about it, but
period.
Going back to you for a second here. This is part of your personality as well. You know, you're like really determined. You're really, you know, when you set your mind to something, you really like do it. And at that time, maybe you did see something in me and what was going on. And
I do see something. I still do. I do love a good challenge. Yeah. I do.
And obviously living abroad, and then you were in Spain, then Portugal, like, oh, a new spot.
I love a good challenge. I think also my parents saying that maybe also made me want to prove them wrong.
And he does speak English.
So funny. Okay, I'm just gonna tell the story for 2 seconds, but I feel like the first time, remember when you met my best friends from high school and stuff?
Yeah, totally.
And we went home. I took Selmo back to the States where I'm from in Pennsylvania, where I grew up in Pennsylvania is nothing like where Selmo grew up. Selmo grew up in like mini Portugal. Like in this pocket of like just Portuguese people in a Portuguese culture. There's like everyone's Portuguese. And my friends were like, what's his name? Selmo? You know, that's not a typical English speaking American name. You show up, you know, from Portugal. I'm introducing you. Was it my family? Well, you came to my cousin's wedding. It's the first time you met my whole family. That was a huge deal. And you met my friends. And I can't remember if it was my family friends that were like, you know, hello. Speaking to you like you didn't speak English. You were like, hi.
Yeah, you took a chance there by taking me to your cousin's wedding.
15 years ago. Look where we are now. So we went to New York together. So we chased that dream. I mean, I chased my dream. And you also chased a little bit of a dream. You moved to New York. You opened a specialty coffee shop, ironically enough, and place called Croissanteria. Shout out Croissanteria. It's still there, right? Shout out Croissanteria, East Village, New York City.
Avenue A.
Yeah, which is ironically the name of one of our businesses now, Avenue A.
I think now it's called Social 86.
Is it? Oh, well, original Social 86, original Croissanteria.
Which was kind of the seed of Abigail's.
Yeah, it was the start of like the beginning of Abigail's, but like years and years later. And I worked in doing marketing, advertising and marketing in a really big advertising firm. And we did like the New York thing. We were on the grind. You also learned a lot in New York. You learned a lot about, I feel like, how to run a business without having a lot of wiggle room.
I think it goes back to what you were saying before. You know, someone today, the opening a spot in Lagos, if it's the same as opening it 22 years ago. And I think you could definitely say that about the spot I had in New York is from day one, or even before you open, you're already paying rent and all those, expenses. You really have to get it right immediately or as soon as possible. That was definitely an amazing learning experience.
Yeah.
What my time in New York, bringing it back here
When
and
we came
applying
back,
it to the businesses here,
yeah.
that really,
I think for both of us, I think it was good. I think it was good on a business perspective because we learned a lot in New York working. I worked corporate, so that was a very big learning experience of I don't want to work corporate America, and I thought that that was the dream, and that was a good learning experience for me.
but you also did really well.
But I think just because I did well doesn't mean that it was what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. But that was the learning experience, right? I learned that maybe that wasn't the exact thing that I wanted, even though I thought it was. Waking up at 6 a.m. for Soul Cycle, staying at work till 7:38 at night. You also put in some serious grind as well, at least in the beginning for Santeria. So 2014, we decided ex-Nao New York, moved back to Lagos. We both decided we weren't going to keep doing this. Is this what I'm going to do? Is this what I'm going to do forever? I didn't want to be my bosses. I want to do something different. And maybe you exploited that a little bit for us to go back to Portugal.
Definitely.
I also think we were also at a point where we also spent a lot of time on the sofa in our apartment doing Excel for Nanaba. I remember we were doing numbers. We were trying to figure out what was going on with
A lot of
sales,
Top Chef.
a lot of Top Chef. Came back all my holiday days. We used to spend coming back to Lagos, working, seeing how everything was. Right.
A lot of Top Chef. A lot of Froyo.
Yeah. New York was fun though. And then we came back in 2014, and we basically I feel like we had this conversation. I kind of remember exactly where we were and everything. We came back to Lagos in 2014, but before we came back, we had that conversation where both of us said, if we go back, we are making this something for real. We are not going back to lay on the beach on the West Coast and do nothing. I also think we decided in 2014 when we moved back, we're going to actually make this a legitimate business, and we're going to grow this into for real.
It's funny to look back now on that period that you're saying is we thought we had it figured out.
Oh my gosh, we had nothing figured out. We still don't have it figured out.
We still don't know what we're doing.
We still don't know what we're doing. But then we came back, and that's when we dug in. We worked crazy hours, 16-hour days. If you think about all that time that we've done since 2014, we've gotten married, we've had 3 children, we've opened and are now running 5 successful restaurants together, 2 soon to be 4 Airbnbs. Built a house. I mean, we've literally been partners in business and in life, truly, in everything through and through. And I think that's cool. But I want to talk about it, what that looks like, because it hasn't always been sunshine and rainbows. And we also go home together, and we parent, and we are husband and wife, and we have to wear a lot of hats in life. How do you think we've been able to make this work from your perspective?
Well, I remember a while back, someone had told me that you never, ever, ever want to make your passion your job because you're going to hate it one day.
Mm.
So if you are really into fishing, don't go open up a fishing shop because one day you're just going to hate it. And I always thought that doesn't make any sense to me. If you're going to be spending your time, why not spend it doing what your passion is and what you love doing?
Mm-hmm.
And my passion, I know I don't want to sound cheesy, but is I love you. I love spending time with you, and you are my passion. For real. So I know we were doing the 16-hour days at Nana's, and before you came to Nana's, you were working reception at the Cock.
It's true. Yeah.
And I just love spending time with you. And so I know we were either at work or on the West Coast or whatever, whatever it might be. That makes it easier in all this time that we've put in together. So I think about that. My passion is spending time with you. My passion is creating stuff with you, whether it be other human beings or other businesses, all that. But it is, and it's, I couldn't imagine doing it another way. I there's no way I could go into the office at 8 and then come back from the office at 8 and not see you all day and see the kids, and that would just suck. I don't want that. So that's why here really works. We get to work together, which I think for a lot of couples would not work out.
Yeah.
At least for me, I think I speak for the both of us. For us, I think it works with our style of being together. I think we really, 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 put family first, and we do get to go home and spend a lot of time with the kids. So, that's what I have to say about that.
I agree with you. I also
And
think
wait, why do you think this works?
no, I think it works because I think we're a good balance of each other in different ways. I think that well, first of all, I think most importantly, and I think this is the most important, is that you and I have the same values and principles that kind of like lead our lives and prioritize our stuff. So I think we prioritize the same things in life and we have the same values in general. And I think that's really important. And I also think we balance each other out. You know that you are, I mean, I think we've both learned a lot from each other, but in the best way possible.
Mhm.
I think you are much less of a, like you don't stress as much and you don't have as much anxiety about things. And I think you push, and you're like, let's open, it'll be fine, it'll be fine. And I've learned that from you of kind of like letting the car auto drive, even though it's not perfect. Whereas I am much more of like a planner and I want things to be perfect. And if they're not perfect, then I might as well not do them. And I think that that's a good balance because I think that sometimes when you're like running off, I can pull you back and be like, wait. Let's look at this again. This could be a total disaster. And then at the same time, I'm holding on, don't want to go, and you're pushing me. Like, let's just do it. And so I think that that's a really good balance in business for sure. And also, I love spending time with you. We've talked about this before so many times. I couldn't imagine also a lot of, all of basically all of our friends or everybody, you go to work in the morning, you come back and you're in the grind, right? You're in bath time, bedtime, dinner time, kids, everything going on. And then you do it again the next day. But we get to see each other all day. And I think that's really nice. I think that's special. And I definitely wouldn't change that. I think I had to adapt to it definitely more in the beginning because it's not something I've ever seen. Like I've never seen my parents or my friends or, other people do that in my life. So I thought that it was supposed to always kind of be separate, but I have obviously learned that that's not the case.
You've also changed a lot since that.
Well,
Since the beginning, you were definitely more rigid and black and white. And I think,
yeah, life's a lot more gray.
yeah, and I think you've definitely have changed a lot in that way, which is cool. I think that's
I also think I got here when I was 23 years old as well. I think I've had to change faster than other people because when you have your own business and you're navigating life in a different country with a lot of different stuff going on and different languages and different cultures and stuff, I think I've had to grow up faster. But I also think that's a part of growing up. So I think in a way, when I got here, I was 23 and everything's black and white when you're 23. Everything's like, this is the way it should be done and that's the way it shouldn't be done. And I've learned that life is a lot more gray area. There's a lot more give and take when it comes to business, personal, everything.
yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Nanaba. Nanaba has 2 locations in Lagos and Praia da Luz. Nanaba is one of the world's top burger joints. Established in 2005, we've been making burgers for over 20 years. We've been voted one of the top 50 burger joints in the world, and our legendary toucan burger, our vegan and veggie options, and our famous homemade nana chips, which are divine, are crafted with local sustainable ingredients and served with laid-back vibes and craft beers. I personally absolutely love the All-American Burger or the Peri Peri Chicken with the Bang Bang Margarita, which is my favorite cocktail. Nanaba is amazing. It's a whole vibe. It's more than just a restaurant. So come taste what the world is talking about at Nanaba. This is Lagos's must-visit burger destination. I want to switch also a little bit to the personal because we also have 3 kids together.
3 beautiful children.
3 perfection of children. We love them so much. And so I want to ask you, as a dad of 3 children, raising children here in Lagos, Portugal, how do you think that's going for us so far? Do you like raising our kids here? Do you think we'll stay here forever?
Well, yeah, I mean, up until now, it's been amazing. And you always kind of hear that it's such a great place for kids to grow up, right by the beach. it's not too stressful commuting, all that crazy, the drop offs, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I think, and I've also heard from like, I know we've been in business for so long that you see kids come through Donaba and then they're come back as teenagers and now they're even have their own children. Is that was like a big highlight of their lives, is like growing up in Lagos and having the
Mm.
West Coast. And so, yeah, it's been amazing. And I mean, for me, I don't know about for you,
No,
if
for
it's
me as
been,
well. I think it's been amazing. I think for parents in general, it's a great place to raise kids.
yeah,
And I think the two of us having been able to grow this like business together, being able to grow from Nanaba, Lagos to basically having 4 more restaurants. So
yeah,
now we have 5 restaurants in the Airbnbs and stuff. I think it's been like a journey. I think it's been fun, like really fun. And
yeah.
being able to add 3 kids and be able to spend time with our kids. I think it's the greatest thing ever.
It's, I think just the culture here in general is there's a lot of like family first.
Mm.
And, if you have a baby, you're going to get pushed to the front of the line at the bank or the butcher shop or whatever it is. Cause they really, there's parking for
For
it.
pregnant people, I love that.
It's really, it's all
Yeah,
about
it's
family first,
yeah.
and the kids or the grandparents have to live at the house, all that crazy stuff. But I definitely think family first here is, I love that mentality, or that it's part of the culture here.
Now that we have our businesses, we kind of created this like little empire here for ourselves in Portugal. Obviously, we're still going. I think you and I both never stop. I don't think we know how to stop.
We always say that we have
No, we've been saying we have to stop for forever. How long have we been
more
saying this?
you saying we have to calm down.
Well, because I think we kept growing businesses and we kept having kids. So I think I got to a point where I was like, well, maybe we should just not have more business because it's a lot. Because it's a lot. But I mean, I wouldn't change it. I adore our family so much. Where do you think you see us with Amazon now? We have Amazon, we have our Airbnbs, we're growing. I feel like we've been nonstop growing since like 2019, 2020. What do you think that it's going to look like for us in like 3 years?
I've also been thinking a lot about that, and even though we are in the business of Amiza, and what that means is a lot of different things, you know pancakes, sushi, burgers,
Mhm.
and the list goes on and on, merchandise. I'd like to somehow maintain the fact that it is like a people connection business. We do really, I think, stand apart when it comes to like really getting to know our customers, really making sure that they have a good time. So I think if we can kind of just like continue what we've always been doing, even though it's not 100% correct and it never will be, that we're always really taking the most out of the people side of it, and back to like us spending the time together as working together. And I love working on this with you, and I think it's like the people side of it
Yeah.
that keeps me going
Yeah.
always. And we're really lucky to be in such like a magical part of the world, Lagos, to have our businesses here, to be able to go to Abigail's and have like a nice coffee and pancakes before going to the beach, or coming to Nanaba for a burger, or the pizza garage for pizza after the beach, or just having beers at night. I think we're really lucky to be able to do that and have the spots here.
I also think that's something we do well is that we actually love our own businesses. Like I
Yeah.
love to eat our businesses. I love to eat the food. I love to be there. I love the ambiance. I love bringing my family there. I think that's also like if you don't love your own business, I mean, especially a restaurant, we love our food. We love the food we eat. I think we're always trying to change it, always trying to make it better.
But we also want people to love working there as well.
Yeah,
And
totally.
I
I
think
know.
when like the team, certain parts of the team, they don't like love working there or are happy to come into work. I think that's something that we really work hard on, is trying to set up like the conditions that people love working at whatever location they're.
Yeah, I agree.
It doesn't always succeed, obviously. And for us as well.
But
Sometimes
it
we're
affects
like,
yeah, but
you
it
know,
affects us. I know what you're saying. It affects us both
screw
because we
this
both
place.
deeply care. We want everyone to love working
Whether it's
at
working or
our
coming to
places.
like eat there or
Yeah,
stay there
yeah,
at the Airbnbs and stuff like that.
yeah.
I guess we just want people to feel like they're at home, like that
I mean, that's
feeling.
what hospitality is. We are in the hospitality business.
But it's funny you say that because the hospitality part of the hospitality business, I think, is like lost.
Really? Why?
Because I mean, this is me speaking for myself, and because I've been doing it for over 20 years, is that just that human touch.
Mm.
And I don't know if you can call it, pre-COVID or post-COVID, or just when someone comes into the actual spot and making them feel like seen, welcome, seating them at the table, almost, I don't want to say like waiting on them, but actually giving that touch of, hey, how's your day going? You're on vacation or whatever it is. Someone said this to me the other day, one of our customers who loves the Pizza Garage. And they came up to me and they said, "Oh, we were at the Pizza Garage the other night and it was absolutely amazing. We loved it. But the thing I like the most is that when we walk into the Pizza Garage, they say hello from their heart and not
Hmm.
just hello. You feel that they say hello."
Yeah.
But the way this gentleman described it, and English is definitely not his first language, but the way he described it was like so moving that touch is, I think, is what is lost now with, everything like Uber. It's so fast now, and eating out's not the way it used to be before. Because I feel that when we have like a lot of our team now, our 20s, etc., whatever
Yeah.
their age is,
People in their 20s now. Yeah.
you almost have to train them on how to give that kind of service, the hospitality in hospitality. And once you like cross that barrier, and I feel that now, at least with like our training at Nanaba, our pre-service training,
Mm-hmm.
is that once they get a taste of that, or once they actually start executing that properly, like, oh, this is actually really cool.
That's our favorite part. Talking to people, talking to the customers. Where are you from? How'd you get here? How'd you hear about the restaurant? Did you enjoy everything? We've even we're friends with clients who started as clients. Crazy.
It's really, it's like a balancing act, because going back to the hostel,
Mm-hmm.
22 years ago, you'd have to go to the bus station, wait for backpackers to get off the bus. Hey, are you looking for a spot? I mean, back then it wasn't like creepy. Like now it would be insanely creepy to approach like like a 20-year-old girl off the bus, go, "Hey, you want to come stay at my place?" But
I don't recommend
before,
that. No.
it was
There was no
almost,
phones. There was no
it
like. It
was
wasn't a
like
phone.
the travel guides. It was, all that.
Yeah, yeah.
It was way
Flyers.
different, but there was still that essence of, like the hospitality, that touch.
But also that's maybe. I mean, we talk about this all the time. Some people have it. It's not like nobody has it. There's definitely 20 people in their 20s that have that, and there's people in their 20s that have that work for us. But there are a lot that don't.
Yes, we've been able to adapt our businesses to how things have changed, but still keep that hospitality essence. So I think if we can continue focusing on that, which that part of the business we love, even just like the podcast here of like you getting to, why are you here? And you actually legitimately, I'm not just saying that to make you feel better.
Make you feel better.
You legitimately want to know, why are you here? Why do you do this? Where are you from?
I love a story. I love a good story, a people's story. I do. I do that anyway in life. And then I was like, well, I might as well broadcast it and have other people hear. There's some crazy stories here in Lagos. And people have some really interesting stories. I think it's always interesting to hear them. And the fact that in Lagos, you have people from all over the world, literally all over the world, living here in Lagos. They should also have a chance to share that story, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's important. So I always end the podcast by asking everybody what your favorite place is in Portugal to go away for a long weekend. It could be like a quick trip, 4 nights, 3 nights, 2 nights, whatever it is. Where's your favorite place in Portugal where you get to really just unwind and relax?
So we have had a few trips here.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I really, love going up to Alcobaça, obviously.
Of course. Where your family's
at
from.
spots, that's where the family's from. And
Mm-hmm.
even though I spent so much time there as a kid,
But you still have your family there as well.
yeah, still have family there. And when we went for Maya's baptism, we stayed in
Mm.
Nazaré.
Yep.
And we went to the beach there, and it was absolutely amazing because I hadn't done that since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Because they're always running around. But I think the first thing that comes out to mind is we took a little mini trip. It was, I think, 2 or 3 nights. We went to Martignal and Sagres
Mm.
and just spent those 2 3 nights on the West Coast. That was really special. However, I would say that the Alentejo is like a good spot for me. I love the sunsets there. It also still feels like really like untapped, and you've got the coast and then you've got the interior.
I'm laughing because I that's the exact same answer. The
Yeah.
Alentejo.
When
I feel
we
like we love the Alentejo.
when we went to San Lorenzo Borocal, that
Oh,
was super special.
that's a
And
special place.
Montserrat,
Montserrat in general is a special place. Yeah.
that was really special.
Montserrat is really special. But I mean, San Lorenzo is probably is got to be one of the top hotels in all of Portugal. There's something special about that place.
So I'd have to say like all of Portugal. And you know how I feel about
that's because you're like the official ambassador to Portugal for everyone who will listen.
There's three things that you cannot like talk shit on in my life. One is Portugal. You can't say anything bad about Portugal.
Ever.
I'm a huge like everything about Portugal is amazing.
Everything.
Number 2, the pool house.
Our first studio apartment.
Pool house is perfect.
Full of molds in the winter, falling apart, but perfect. Perfect.
And number 3, my grandfather's Mercedes. You can't.
1988. The car and I are the same age. 1988 Mercedes, which was our first and only car until 2000.
Well, right before Arlo was born.
It was our only car until 2016.
Right before Arlo was born, we're like,
no
we need
AC,
to get a legitimate car.
No radio. 1988 Mercedes. That was. I mean, those were the good days as well. Everywhere. That was the good days. Those were the good days. I mean, not to Lisbon. It broke down.
It broke down. Oh no, actually,
it got us almost everywhere.
If it wasn't for that car, we wouldn't be together.
That's not true. You always say that. Why would we not be together? You drove me back to Sevilla because I had work.
I convinced you to stay an extra night because you had work. And I was like, oh no, stay an extra night and I'll drive you instead of taking the bus.
Yeah, and then the car broke down on the way to Sevilla.
And then you stayed an extra night and I was driving you back to Sevilla and the car broke down by Faro.
I know, I remember.
So we towed truck back and you spent the entire weekend here, missed work or whatever it was, or the entire week.
It was a whole week.
So you missed work, but that's really when I was able to swindle you.
Swindle me into what? Being your girlfriend and
moving here.
Forever.
I was like, do you want to be my girlfriend?
Yeah.
West Coast.
No,
so actually, if it wasn't for that car.
Okay, but.
And the pool house and Portugal.
I don't think Portugal can come into it. But yes.
Oh, you love Portugal.
I'm Portuguese.
Congrats on that too. Finally.
I'm Portuguese and American.
You're officially Portuguese.
Yeah, it's true. I have one more question.
There's still a question cooking away.
I have one more question.
Go ahead, lay it on me.
If you had to give advice to anyone who wanted to move here to Lagos, Portugal today.
Just moving here just to move here or to try to kind of do business or just to like live here?
Well, what if somebody was like, I want to move to Portugal. I want to get up and move to Portugal. Should I do it? Should I not do it? What should I expect? Like just a quick couple sentences. Like, would you recommend it? Would you not recommend it? What would you tell them before they do it? You have a friend looking into that now.
I currently have a friend right now. One of my Portuguese childhood friends is actually really
still lives in Massachusetts, right?
Connecticut now.
Sorry, Connecticut but wants to move to Portugal.
What would I'll say what I've been telling him. Don't think on it too long. His kids are basically our kids' age, and he's really thinking about coming here. But don't think about it too long because I think it's all as well about what you're into, what your preferences are, where you want to be. But if you want to be, like you said, present and enjoy the present moment and stuff, and this is a perfect spot for that. And I always say you'll figure it out, and I just feel that way in life in general. I think we try to stress too much about making everything perfect all the time, or looking our best, being the best version of ourselves. it's not going to be like that every single day, right? Do you
Yeah, I
also think
completely
that?
agree. I think being perfect is like the greatest lie ever told to humanity
Yeah.
because there's no such thing, and it's never going to be perfect.
Well, think about it like this. So let's say I think like a big motivator for people is obviously money or being
Mm,
able to provide for your family. So let's say I wake up and oh my god, my dream is I want to be a millionaire. And okay, maybe the best spot for me to become a millionaire is New York City.
mhm.
But there's a lot that you're going to have to do and give up to become a millionaire in New York City.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to come to Lagos and be a millionaire, that's a whole different, that's probably not going to happen. But what you're going to have to give up is not even to be equivalent of what you're going to have to give up in New York City, which is probably never seeing your family, being on the grind, subways, everything's super expensive. Where here is you're probably not going to become a millionaire because, you know how it is here,
I do.
but you are going to have time to be present for your kids. If you don't have kids, be present to go surfing on the week, whatever it is.
To
You
follow like
you
a
know,
passion or a hobby.
you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying. So we're all chasing the same thing. We're all chasing this unattainable dream of perfection
Mm.
or of money. And we kind of at some point come to the conclusion, oh shit, I'm not gonna be a millionaire. Shit, I'm not gonna have that perfect like six pack or whatever it is, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the
So
attainable.
at least here there's wiggle room to be present and not pay such a high price to be present. You know what I'm saying?
I think Lagos, Portugal, and I would say this to anybody as well, will teach you, if you haven't learned it already, that if your dream is to be a millionaire, that dream of having the material things that will give you what you need to be a millionaire, or being a millionaire will give you these material things, isn't the thing you should be chasing anyway. And I think that living here in Lagos will teach you that very quickly, because you'll find that you don't need to be a millionaire to go see the most insanely stunning beach on the West Coast.
Yeah, yeah,
It doesn't
definitely.
require any money. And you get to make all these friends, you get to meet all these people, and you get to eat amazing food and be around in amazing weather and have a beautiful, beautiful life. And it doesn't cost you anywhere close to a million.
Back to that, never make your passion your job. If you love fishing, if you open up a fish store,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
gonna hate
yeah.
it. I think here, you really, really, really get to kind of just do what you were saying. If you want to go out to the West Coast, or if you, I don't know, I love living. I love Portugal, so
So highly recommend.
all of Portugal.
Okay. Well, this was fun. We'll do this again. We'll do a Q&A next time. We'll ask everybody for their own questions and we'll go answers.
This is great. And like I said before, wasn't sure, but I was gonna come off,
He
but
didn't want to do it. I basically forced him to do it.
no. Congratulations, though.
It just started.
No, you've already interviewed a few people.
I know, but you're my second
I know, but
episode.
you've put a lot of work into it, and the team is doing great. There's a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes that you don't see right now, but you guys are crushing it. This is exciting,
Thanks.
and you're getting to do like your passion, and
Yeah,
one of them at least.
one of them. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks. I love you.
Love you too.
So the episode was fun. I really, really loved actually interviewing my husband, who I've never interviewed before. I think the takeaways from today, at least for me, were that, growing a business, growing a family, whatever it is that you're growing, anything in life, and doing it with your partner is really one of the greatest gifts that both my husband and I have had the privilege of being able to do together. Living here in Lagos definitely is such an amazing place for so many reasons, but especially that you can kind of have time to follow your dreams, follow your hobbies, and still be able to do your talent and make money, but enough money to have a really nice life. At the end of the day, it will always come down to what is your priority? What is your goal in life? What are you chasing? I think you should chase any dream and any goal that you have and do it in your own way. Be an entrepreneur, take the leap, take the jump, work with your spouse, move to another country, whatever it is. And I think, like Selmo said, and like he always says to me all the time, and it'll be okay. You'll land on your feet. It feels like you won't, but you will. And sometimes everything doesn't have to be perfect. Chasing perfection is not reality. I look forward to our next episode and talking more about Lagos and finding out why more people are here and the leaps that they took and how they landed on their feet. Déjà.